Grand Rising. I'm blending in with the trees quite nicely. Mainly an art one. Well, true Brit news. Why something to be dumb or stupid. Bit of announcement. I'm about to post up for the first time. What is it? Unhinged Psychotherapy, Psychotherapy Unhinged. And also to say, where this goes out on YouTube, you were to find Unhinged Psychotherapy. I can't remember the link. I'll see if I can put it in this. I'm not used to putting in links in anywhere or doing anything that does links and all that. Links, subscribe and all that business. I don't know how to do it. I could do it if I wanted to, but I can't be bothered. It takes me all my time and effort just to put up, record them and edit them sometimes and post them. That's why I've got a backlog. Anyway, I've had so just to announce that, and also I'm going to post. I think I've finished it. I don't think I'm going to put anything on it because I can't be bothered actually. But a podcast that'll be on here. This YouTube channel, just highlighting my genealogy. Actually, going back to. Well, I'll say this. I am presenting my genealogy, coming through the matriarchal line, my mother line, tracing that back to from the 10th century, but I could have gone back further into Europe, and probably gone back even further than that. Genealogy, family line, going back to the 10th century at least, highlighting events such as the certain family names that are linked to my mother, the matriarchal line, and where the patriarchal line has moved into the matriarchal line in Jamaica. So it so I highlight that, okay, with evidences, by the way. So I just wanted to sort of say that's what I'm going to be doing. In terms of today's, that post is going to go. In terms of posts that I'm going to do, right. Which brings me nicely onto, I suppose, the issues around genealogy and why I'm actually doing that. What's dawned on me as I've been reading certain things, I'm also going to, just by the way, I'm going to provide a recording, just reading out, and maybe I'm having a little bit of commentary on the United Nations Declarations of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Now, I'm just going to read it out. There are 42 points, I think, that are on it. I'm just going to read them out, and I'm, as I say, maybe with a bit of commentary. So just let you know that and that's going to be coming out pretty soon, actually, because I just need to do that for a whole heap of reasons. And one of those reasons is because they waited for me, and I know they didn't really want to. The amount of times I nearly got killed on it is unbelievable. People just ran through. You know, so I've become nonchalant about it. Okay, and that's a sort of, again, an indicator leading to this very quite, short post, which is how we become nonchalant, and who has become nonchalant about their responsibilities and obligations Right, you can hear that noise, can't you? Right, I'm going to see if I can pause it. Okay, yeah, just to get by it now. Okay, 9 trees, okay, I think I waited for a minute. Right, anyway. So, nonchalant. About what and who has been thusly nonchalant. UNDRIP points out, one of the reasons why I'm doing the UNDRIP, because it points out the responsibilities to themselves, to their community, for their health, wealth, prosperity and well-being of the Indigenous and Aboriginal peoples. Now what dawned on me as I'm reading through this myself, thinking about the cast that I'm going to put together, is that I'm the only one that I know, well actually, I'm the only one that I know in the location that I am, that's talking about it. Lots of people know about it, and they've known about it for quite some time, since its issuance. So when people are talking about things like decolonisation, it's in reference to UNDRIP. They've all been given the heads up about it since at least 2017, and maybe even before that too. And this is what everybody's been fighting against. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about institutions, I'm talking about individuals, I'm talking about agencies, I'm talking about corporations, I'm talking about local and central governments across the globe. And I'm also talking about the UN itself, United Nations, NATO. All of these people know about the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and they've all signed off on it. So what it dawned on me is that, you know, and I've been asking the question because I began when I first was presented with this document and reading through it, thinking, hang on, who are these Indigenous and Aboriginal people? And there's a post somewhere back in the day, you'll probably find it on Rumble for sure, where I'm asking the question, well, if it's not, and it was at a time when the so-called black Americans were recognising that they were Indigenous and Aboriginal, and actually there is another document that's very similar to UNDRIP, which it's about specifically for the Americas. Funnily enough, there's a specific document for them. I'll see if I can put that up. Right, so what it means is that there are two groups of people, one who know who the Indigenous and Aboriginal are, another group who don't know the Indigenous and Aboriginal, who don't know that they're Indigenous and Aboriginal, or just waking up to the fact. And now as time's gone on over the last, since 2017, when I first became aware of it, actually did start to make sense to about 2021, where it became increasingly apparent, mainly by the responses I was getting as I'm introducing this notion of UNDRIP, that it's almost like a bit of a treaty that everybody's obliged to accommodate. And it wasn't until I mentioned it at the Sherwood, that's the Sherwood Psychotherapy Training Institute, to my program leader, and I think the last time I did this, at the time, I think I got a post that got taken down. All my accounts, YouTube accounts, got raided. When I said this, that's the first time I realised that people were aware of this, and they were connecting it to this notion of decolonisation. And there were a few other things that were going on around about me as I'm asking the question about who the Indigenous and Aboriginal are, considering that the Australians, those black Australians, saying that they are Indigenous and Aboriginal. I don't know where that's back up. Somebody else was different groups around the globe are saying, yeah, the Inuit saying that they're Aboriginal to that landmass. The Black Americans are saying that, begin to recognise that they're Indigenous and Aboriginal to that landmass. The Africans are saying that they are Indigenous and Aboriginal to that landmass. So I'm saying, well, who's Indigenous and Aboriginal to this landmass? Meanwhile, there are books coming out by Maria Kaufman, and I forget the guy's name who wrote Black British History quite recently. So if I can chuck them up there as reference points. And a few other bits, Dr. Maria Charles, there's talk about black foundational black Americans, foundational black British as well, that was going on during lockdown, and preceding years. So who are these Indigenous and Aboriginal? But I will say this, it's quite clear who isn't. The people that actually have assumed the position of Indigenous and Aboriginal and originals of this landmass that we would call Western Europe and Europe generally. And I don't see any of them clamouring to instigate or to facilitate or to encourage or to roll out what is described in the document UNDRIP. Because if you want to sort out all your chattel trafficking, and if you don't like the buildings going up in your cities, if you don't like the things that are going on in the world, in your country, in your city, in your town, then UNDRIP gives you the way to sort it out, to make challenges, and it makes clear the state's responsibilities to the Indigenous and Aboriginal. And as I say, it makes clear the obligations of the state, and it makes clear the responsibilities of the Indigenous and Aboriginal. And I now know that who the Indigenous and Aboriginal are, and it makes it clear what are the obstacles for those things to be initiated, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be doing that video. I might get around to doing it today, so look forward to that. And just to say, this is what that means is that the Indigenous and Aboriginal, the Moors, the Moors of Europe and America, and across the globe, of the Far East, the Philippines, they're all they are the Indigenous and Aboriginals, and they are the ones. So the people that are sort of claiming to be, contemporary Chinese, Japanese, Pakistanis, Indians, they're not who they say they are. Not at all. And if you ask them, they'll tell you their origins, and their origins are in the southeast part, with the wars going on at the moment. It's not the Middle East per se, but in the Ukraine area, around that area, around the Black Sea. That's where they originate from, and going further east. Till the next time, very soon, may your ERP and your spirituality remain strong. From God.